Hello, this is New Earth Angel, and I wanted to share some thoughts about a conversation that I had with someone earlier today. And we were talking about being a big fish in a little pond. And basically, um, we were talking about how we had certain relationships or acquaintances that we dealt with where it seems like we tend to give more than we are receiving. And I was sharing with him that what was revealed to me was that during that time where I realized that I kept finding myself in situations where I was giving more than I seemed to be receiving, and I was, um, you know, saying to myself, well, you know, I'm giving to people, but when it's time for me to receive encouragement or support, there's nobody for me to, you know, to turn to, and nobody's reaching out to encourage me. And I can remember, feeling some kind of way about that, feeling like, I'm just surrounded by people who just take, take, take. But then I was convicted in my spirit. And in my spirit, it was revealed to me that I shouldn't be upset with the people for asking or for coming to me for support. What I needed to realize is that it was time for me to be in a setting where I'm around people who have something that they can share with me, you know. And it was also revealed to me that, you know, um, I needed to analyze that to figure out what I was getting from a relationship where I was always giving and not really receiving, a reciprocated, action from others. And part of that could be, you know, sometimes feeling good, that you could be of service to somebody else, or, you know, or liking the idea of others coming to you for support. But if that's the case, then why are you complaining about it? And that's when I realized that, perhaps I did, sometimes, get some enjoyment from being able to help others. But when it becomes unbalanced, then you have to ask, are you giving for the right reasons? You know? And so I had to, step back and think about that, And also, I realized that I was in those types of dynamics because um, I didn't want to, or I should say, it was like a fear of not knowing, you know, um, what else was out there for me as far as, getting to know other people. Because, I would have these excuses about, not really wanting to, you know, um, venture out to make new friends. But I really wasn't considering some of the people that I was, surrounded with as friends. So, what friends was I gonna lose? What is it you thinking you're gonna lose? And so, with that being said, I just really had to stop and think about, what is that going to look like for me? But I knew I couldn't stay in a situation where I continued to feel like I wasn't getting the encouragement that I needed from time to time, or even to gain some wisdom, because I realized that if I stayed in this small pond, I wasn't gonna grow beyond where I was. And I knew that I was supposed to be growing beyond the circle of people that I had surrounded myself with. And so, in that, I realized also that had been a people pleaser. And I really didn't like the idea of being a people pleaser, but it wasn't my idea. It was something from spirit that say you're a people pleaser. You want to be there for everybody, you know, and sometimes even when you rather do something else, you saying you're not letting your yes be yes and your no be no. And when I realized that I had to come away from people pleasing so that I could grow, then my circle of acquaintances began to shrink, so much so that I even referred to this small pond as being dried up. It was no longer a big fish in a small pond. It was like, hey, that pond has dried up. Now what are you gonna do? And it really had dried up. And when I say dried up, that meant that I had started looking at all of my different, you know, engagements, interactions, dealings with the people in that pond, and it was revealed to me. And not to say that it's anything, that was wrong with anybody, or that or that they were bad people or anything like that. It's just that I had outgrown them, and for various reasons, I was remaining, in those situations that weren't really serving me. Because when we are in a relationship with other people, it should be a mutual exchange of growth. It doesn't mean that people are always going to be able to give back to you in the way that you give to them, but there should be something exchanged in the way of encouragement and growth and upliftment. And once I looked at that and I realized the areas that I had been people pleasing and made adjustments there, some people who really shouldn't have been in that circle anyway, they just kind of just fell off. Especially once I identified where I had been a people pleaser and I corrected those actions. Because once I corrected those actions, then no one could take it, what I considered taking advantage, but they weren't taking advantage. I was not making, I wasn't exercising my ability to set boundaries, or to say yes or to say no when that's what I meant. And I realized that a lot of times I was upset with other people because they were coming to me, but in all actuality, I should have been evaluating myself, for not having boundaries or not having the courage to use my voice to say what it is I meant. Saying what I mean and meaning what I say. And that takes courage. And sometimes we don't have no problem with getting in other folks' face. Let me just speak about me. I ain't have no problem with getting in other folks' face, you know. But when it came time for me to actually get in my own face and say, what are you doing here? Then that meant I needed to make some changes. Now it's no longer on somebody else. It's not me, waiting on somebody else to make changes. I had to make some changes. And guess what? When I began to make changes, the situations around me changed. And what ended up happening is that I find myself not surrounded with all these people that I was once, saying was friends, or just using that term very, loosely, but those those involvements, they fell off. And so you'll find when you start to do some inner growth, a lot of people that you used to deal with, they just not going to be there. And you got to be okay with that. You got to be okay with that so you can grow. You got to be okay with that so that you're not left stagnant and upset with other people for being who they are, because you won't be who you need to be. And I realize how much power we give up when we're waiting on other people to change or to catch up to where we are, when really we can just pack up our things and exit stage left or stage right, or whichever way you can get out of there the quickest. And it doesn't always require, a whole lot of conversation about I'm leaving. Just get up and go. Just get up and go. Just fade into the black, or just slide to the left, slide to the right. You do enough line dances, you know how to get out of there. And once I did that, yeah, it was sometimes a little lonely sometimes, or sometimes, I'm gonna be honest, I even sometimes wanted to pick up the phone and call certain people up to go do things, so I have somebody to do things with. But at what cost? At what cost? If you have, if somebody you like hanging out with, but they always, got some, underlying haterade going on, or they're, giving some little backhand compliments, or trying to, shoot you down, or, or suck you of your energy. You don't have time for that. You really don't have time for that if you really trying to do some inner growth. If you're trying to connect with your inner wisdom, if you're looking to be the best version of yourself, you can't be surrounded by that kind of energy. Which means now you got to be in search of like-minded people. People who are positive, people who are doing the work, to address, their inner growth, and where you can have a conversation and they understand and know what you're talking about, because they've been there, done that, or they in the process of doing that, or they done something similar, But if you're trying to stay in a little bitty pond where people who ain't even hearing what you got to say. Matter of fact, they looking at you like, oh, something's wrong with you, or, or why you, always talking about, bettering yourself, or goals, or what. They looking at you like, almost like you're irritating them, because that's not what they're about. And so all of a sudden, here you go on your high and mighty horse, trying to be something other than what they being. It's time to move on. And it's a sad, sad thing, but sometimes it could be people that you've known for a very long time. It could be people that you're in a relationship with. It could be family. It could be a whole host of, different connections that you may find difficult to walk away from. But I submit to you, you may not ever be happy unless you consider which relationships need to, be released. And not all of them need to be released. Some of them you just don't make as much contact. Some of them, you may evolve as they watch you, continue to evolve. But it's not going to happen if you try to stay with them. It's just like somebody drowning. If you want to help them, you got to be aware that if they fight in the water, they may end up fighting you and pulling you down. So before you get in the water, as you're approaching them, you got to be letting them know, hey, now I'm here to help you. This is a boundary. I'm here to help you, but you got to stop all that flailing and swinging your arms and kicking if you want me to help you. Now they making a choice. And if that's not the program they want to get with, perhaps you need to let them keep fighting that water until somebody else come along, or till that fighting turn into swimming or something. But it's not going to benefit anybody for you to go down with them. So, circling back around to the big fish in the little pond. If you are finding yourself in a situation where you continue to, complain about, nobody being there for you, and everybody's always calling you, and you rescuing everybody. If you see yourself as that person, you have some work to do. It's nothing wrong with the other people. The common denominator is you. You continue to allow that cycle to take place. And when you realize that, then you'll start to, unpack the reasons why you continue to remain in that dynamic. And if you're ready to move from it, then you'll start thinking about, okay, what do I need to do in order to move from this space? And that means that you have to look at situations where you've been a people pleaser. And then consider which relationships are worth salvaging, which ones you might need to step back from and take a break from, and which new relationships you need to be moving toward for your growth. Because we're not here to just be stagnant and be miserable. We're here to grow and to learn and to forge relationships with people that's going to bring about positive change around you and within you. And I hope that, this message, you know, um, helps you in some way as you grow. As we go into 2023, we have to do something different. We have to do something different so that we can get different results. And I hope that this helped you. Have a wonderful night.